Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and today we're reviewing for you The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered on the Nintendo Switch 2. This review was originally written by the lovely Ken Talbot and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. 15 years after its release, Skyrim is now well established as a household name in open-world RPGs. It captured the zeitgeist in a way that few games ever have, and is so enduring that its many re-releases are subject to an uncountable number of memes. Yet, Skyrim is just one section of the Great Tamriel continent, and during the 7th console generation, the series hit its stride with Oblivion, the 4th entry in the Elder Scrolls saga. In place of wasteland, tundra, and skies filled with dragons, Cyrodiil offers sprawling countryside, shining imperial citadels, and burning portals into demonic realms. The Big Three. Oblivion Remastered gives the complete adventure a fresh look of Unreal Engine 5 paint, offering a huge main quest alongside excellent expansions Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles. It's not just a visual remaster though. Alongside fundamental changes like an updated map, leveling system, and UI, combat has also got some added flair. Something which I personally didn't realize until playing the Switch 2 version, because I played it on Game Pass and I went unarmed because I'm that kind of person. Weapon hits feel just that little bit more tactile with souped up animations, and everything feels much smoother in third-person mode to boot. There are many small tweaks that bring Oblivion that little bit closer to Skyrim in look and feel, though it's notable that these changes don't dilute the experience for anyone coming back to Cyrodiil for, let's be honest, the 4,000th time. This is still very much the Oblivion you know and love, just a little bit more accessible to newcomers. Oblivion boasts some of the best writing of any Elder Scrolls game, and revisiting these quests was like wrapping up tight in a warm blanket. As is tradition, your created adventurer kicks off their journey in the bowels of a dungeon. There they meet Emperor Uriel Septim, who graces you with his Patrick Stewart-voiced portents before entrusting you with the Amulet of Kings and sending you off to find his heir. Finding Martin Septim is just one task on a laundry list of quests that also includes closing Oblivion Gates to quell the flood of Daedra into Cyrodiil. Along the way, you'll join the Blades at Cloud Ruler Temple, take part in multiple epic battles, and help Martin retake his throne and push back the Daedric tide. If you even want to, you don't have to bother. If you're more that way inclined, but you also want some meatier things to do, well, there are faction quest lines aplenty. These aren't just side tasks, each one is just as worthwhile and enjoyable as the main story. The Dark Brotherhood is usually the default strongest, but Oblivion has a full suite of brilliant faction storylines to explore, each containing set pieces and individual quests that remain high watermarks for the series to this day. The Dark Brotherhood's whodunit has you locked in a house with 5 of your victims and multiple ways to dispatch them. The Thieves Guild Elder Scroll heist is a compelling challenge that will test your stealth and cunning, while the Mages Guild attack on Manimarco is an all-timer. Then there's the Arena, the conquering of which rewards you with the annoying superfan NPC who's become somewhat of a Bethesda mascot. There are myriad other tasks and diversions to discover as you travel the land, meeting NPCs who go about their daily business thanks to the once revolutionary Radiant AI system, or at least what's left of it here. Cyrodiil felt like a living, breathing world in 2006, and the remaster preserves that in 2026. The expansion content is also remastered and woven into the open world. You can quest for a set of mystical armor in Knights of the Nine, or much more interestingly, visit the Shivering Isles and its cackling ruler Sheogorath. The latter expansion offers a huge extra map that adds another 40 hours to the already heaving length of the main quest line. There's always so much to do in a Bethesda RPG, and Oblivion nails that just one more dungeon feeling that has made the series such an enduring presence. Thanks to the previously mentioned remaster tweaks, the game plays much the same as Skyrim. A learn-by-doing leveling approach means you're free to cultivate any build you want by just focusing on your own personal playstyle. That could result in some claymore-wielding strength build or a stealthy magic archer, but the option for variation is there and it is very broad, so maybe take advantage of it, and don't just go with another unarmed combat man. Although it seems no matter what I do, I'm always tempted towards alchemy. I like the idea of going around gathering up ingredients and smushing them together and creating potions and poisons in particular. Always really cool. I've actually leaned quite heavily into poisons in my current playthrough, and arrows, because it means I don't have to get so close. For anyone more accustomed to dual wielding, it's worth noting that Oblivion keeps the older mechanic of a single weapon accompanied by an equipped spell. This is arguably much less fun, but it adds focus to combat by simplifying the approach. What is fun is the addition of left and right mouse controls on the Joy-Con 2, which feel right at home in this PC-born adventure. Gyro controls and touchscreen support are also present, offering a rare and generous full house of playstyles. This generosity does not stretch to performance, however. Oblivion Remastered arrives on Switch 2 with an unfortunate, if predictable, cap at 30 frames a second and 1080p DLSS in docked mode, dropping to 900p when undocked. At least that's what Bethesda's announced targets all say they are. For those who have experienced the rocky performance of the original game across multiple generations, lower frame rates won't come as too much of a surprise, but it's a shame that we don't at least get the option, however muddy or horrible it might look, to maybe even just glimpse at 60 frames a second. I mean, we might be asking too much, but, 60 frames a second. Those 30 frames are mostly stable, although wandering around the open world and some heavily populated interiors will tank them. As easy as it is sometimes to excuse the technical shortcomings of Bethesda RPGs, this should be the definitive way to experience Oblivion, and as good looking as the visual update is, it is tainted by the intermittently choppy performance. Interestingly, handheld seems to be the most stable of the two modes, with long stints on the small screen going by without issue. Luckily, performance can't affect sound. Well, at least it can, but it doesn't here, with Jeremy Soul's ambient compositions weaving their way into our subconscious yet again. Whether it's the iconic main menu music or Harvest Dawn, is there any other soundtrack? There absolutely is, but Harvest Dawn, come on! This is still one of the best soundscapes in gaming. The Switch 2 release comes in several flavors as well. The base game bundles the main expansions alongside some of the smaller diversions that reward gear and extra bits of lore, but then there's also the physical deluxe edition with a proper cartridge, we want to make clear, that comes with extra armor for your adventurer. And if anybody wanted to be reminded of Oblivion's historic contribution to the current state of microtransactions, the digital and physical editions grant extra horse armor. Performance-wise, Oblivion Remastered may not sing as you'd hope on Nintendo's hardware, although the added control options are very welcome and it looks and sounds the part even when the frame rate dips below the target 30 frames a second. However, this is without a doubt one of the best RPGs of all time, and the remaster gives the same old game a brand new look. With the main quest and all additional content, it's huge value for money and well worth experiencing for the first time, or indeed revisiting if you've walked through these flaming gates before. The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered, you're getting an 8 out of 10 from us. Now that we got that formal stuff out of the way, it's time for Alex's personal thoughts. And I put one in. I love alchemy in this game. I love it in Skyrim as well. I don't know whether it's the best thing to do, but I like it. It might seem a bit of a cop-out considering that it's based on a game from 2006, but I was actually, although, I definitely want things to run better, I was actually quite pleasantly surprised with how well the game runs. Because although, yeah, it doesn't manage to hit 30 frames a second all the time, and there are dips here, there, and everywhere, usually when it comes to loading in new areas of the map and, other things, trees in the distance and all that sort of thing, I can't help but feel that because it looks, I've got to be honest, as good as it does, and it does look, I think, flipping good, I'm kind of a bit more forgiving about that. And, maybe it is because I'm used to playing the original Xbox 360 version, although I know it wasn't originally on 360, but even so, I'm just kind of a bit more forgiving in that area, I think. Which is unusual. Usually I drag things over the coals for stuff like this, but I don't know. Maybe I've just got a soft spot for Oblivion. Maybe it's nostalgia talking. Take that with a pinch of salt. But I am so pleased that this is here, and that it's going to be all on a physical cartridge is so good. It's a bit more old school than Skyrim in a lot of ways. I particularly like the fact that you can just make custom spells. I was really sad when that wasn't a feature in Skyrim when it came out. I was like, I can't make my own spells. What is this? You know, I was really disappointed because, yeah, sometimes it's nice to be able to just cast a spell. I won't have any footage of this, by the way, but just cast a spell and it paralyzes the entire room. And if you're not careful, you as well. You know, it just gave you more ways to just muck around, which was really, really fun. And I think you could do other things. I mean, it's not Morrowind. Morrowind, you had like flying spells and stuff like that, but you could do all sorts, you know, and you could absolutely break the game if you wanted to. This time around, I'm not doing that though. I've actually, I've included a couple of things, a couple of sort of home rules, house rules that I think are making Oblivion even more fun than I've felt in a long time. You know, a few obvious things. I'm tempted to do a video about it, to be honest. But you know, things like, oh, you can't fast travel, you know, obvious stuff. But also a few other subtle things that, yeah, maybe I will do a video about it. Maybe I won't, you know, reveal my hand too early. But this is a really, really good game. And considering what I was expecting in terms of like the muddiness and the smeariness and the visuals being kind of really, really low, and then, oh, it's also not performant, you know, at 30 frames a second even, you know, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I really am. There's a part of me wondering whether a lot of this stuff will be fixed in patches, but considering that this is kind of a notoriously difficult game to run as it is, maybe not. I don't know. It's a closed environment. We might be pleasantly surprised. But either way, I still really, really enjoy this game. It's a bit old school in a lot of ways, but for me, that just makes me love it more.